political rallies, creation and broadcasting of special programs, sponsored content, sports and entertainment, and advertising for small, medium and large enterprises. All services are offered at competitive prices. Tune in daily to catch Luntha television on Zuko on channel 51, Starsat channel 474, Star Times channel 4.
Wadziko lino Dr. Lazarus Magathe Chakwera akubwera mnyumbayi kuzayankha mafunso kuchoka kwa aphungu a nyumba ya malamulo kuchokera pa zomwe anayankhula ku mtundu wa Malawi pa 14 February 2025. Dzina langa ndi Fane Mbwana. Today, the President of the Republic of Malawi, Dr. Lazarus Magathe Chakwera, has arrived here in the Parliament chamber to answer questions considering the SONA which he delivered in the House on 14 February 2025. This will be his 60th question time appearance in the Parliament since assuming office in 2020. His appearance in Parliament is guided by the Standing Order 70B, subsection 1, dealing with Section 89, subsection 3C of the Constitution, which says that during a budget meeting of the Assembly and immediately before consideration of the budget estimates, the President shall attend Parliament to respond to questions asked and raised during debate on the State of the Nation address. The question time for the President shall last for 1 hour, 30 minutes. The President will take a maximum of 5 original questions that are on today's order paper, and of course, 3 supplementary questions on each will follow. Among others, the questions border on matters of national and international importance by members of the Assembly. These may include matters for which government is responsible. The President will sit on the government side, especially reserved for the purpose by the Speaker during President's question time. This is guided by Standing Order 70C. According to today's order paper, the President is expected to respond to questions from Honorable Ashen Songwe MP from Rikoma Islands, Honorable Mike Bango MP, Kasungu North Constituency, Honorable Paul Dumembi Nkoma MP, Kasungu Northeast Constituency, Honorable Salim Bagras MP, Chikwawa Central Constituency, and Honorable Kenneth Ndovi MP, representing Karonga Nyungwe Constituency. Thus, the Speaker's procession making way into the Parliament chamber. We now cross over for the chamber to follow today's proceedings.
Let us pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness has appointed the office of the rulers and parliament for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we ask you to behold with your abundant favors your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this land. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we may treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of this country and of those whose interest you have committed to our charge. Amen.
General business, communication from the chair.
Good afternoon, honorable members, and welcome to Parliament. Honorable members, I wish to welcome His Excellency Dr. Lazarus Chakwera into Parliament chamber. You are welcome, Your Excellency. Honorable members, I wish to remind you that His Excellency the President is appearing before the House to answer questions based on Standing Order 89(3)(c) of the Constitution as read with Standing Order 70B. May I take this opportunity to welcome His Excellency to this august House as you'll be discharging your constitutional duties. I wish to commend Your Excellency for this noble gesture. In terms of procedure for questions to the President, I wish to remind honorable members that we will be guided by Standing Order 70B. The President will answer questions and issues which members raised in the SONA, and he is free to respond to some issues raised during the general debate on the SONA. The duration of this session is 1 hour, 30 minutes. A maximum of 5 questions, but I would like to inform the House that 1 question has been withdrawn on the order paper, and they shall be taken together with a maximum of 3 supplementary questions, which will be allowed on any of the 5 original 4 questions to the President. May I remind you, honorable members, that these supplementary questions have to arise directly from the answers to the original question. They should not be used to introduce matters not included in the original answer to the question, and a supplementary question shall not purport to raise a new matter on the floor. And to our visitors in the visitors gallery, you're not allowed to take part in debate, you're not allowed to clap, you're not allowed to jeer. Ndingonena sonchichewa alendo atu amene mwabwera muli mwambamu sinololedwa kuombera manja kapena kuyankhulapo pa chilichonse chimene chikuyankhulidwa nyumba muno. Tikapeza ena akupanga zimenezo ndi atuma achitetezo athu kuti akutulutseni nyumba muno. Honorable members, welcome, Your Excellency, and clerks at the table.
General business. Questions to the President. Understanding Order 70B.
Honorable member for Luntha City South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let us follow our own rules. Honorable Salima Southeast is currently serving a suspension. I have also served suspension. Why is it always Malawi Congress Party want to break laws in this house? Why, Madam Speaker? Let's respect the speakership office. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable member for Luntha City Southwest. Clerks at the table, can you check for me in terms of the punishment? Was the honorable member for Salima Southwest, was he supposed to come in the house? Tomorrow. I'm being guided by both the Deputy Speaker and the clerk that he was supposed to come tomorrow and not today. Honorable member for Salima Southwest. Honorable members, can you have order, please? Honorable member for Salima Southwest. Yes, I've been guided that you're supposed to come back tomorrow, please. Thank you. Honorable Leader of the House.
Good afternoon, Right Honorable Speaker and the whole House. The Honorable Member for Salima Southeast was sent out under Standing Order 105. And if you allow me to read that Standing Order.
Honorable Leader, are we going to start debating that issue here?
Because the Standing Order recognizes the first day as first day and the second day.
Honorable Leader
so he has already spent 2 days.
Honorable Leader of the House. I don't think
Much obliged, but it was under Standing Order 105.
Yes, but I've been guided that it was said that the member should come tomorrow. So let's not go back to that debate, please. We now go to the questions to Understanding Order 70B. And I'll ask the Honorable Member for Likoma Island to ask and confirm the question.
Thank you, Madam Right Honorable Speaker. Madam Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to ask question number PQT1, standing to my name on today's order paper. I thank you.
Thank you. Your Excellency the President. Can I have order, honorable members? Order, honorable members.
Madam.
Members, order on my right, please.
Madam Speaker, as it has been my custom from the onset of my presidency, I once again present myself before you and this entire assembly in compliance with the Constitution of the Republic of Malawi, which commands me as a servant of the Malawian people to appear before their representatives in this august house to answer their questions. In this context, it is only appropriate that as I begin, just like I've done in previous occasions, I make a statement by which I account for the State of the Nation address that I delivered here on the 14th day of February, and which the honorable members of this House have been debating in the 12 days since, a sacred duty that I feel honored and humbled to discharge, and for which I owe you and this House many deepest thanks. Madam Speaker, from following the debate on my State of the Nation address in this House closely, before I respond to specific questions, it's become clear to me that this presidential question time is distinct from all the others I have done before. Its uniqueness is in the fact that I stand here today not merely as one accountable, but also as one accused. And both legal and natural justice demand that I face and answer my accusers. The accusation leveled against me is that the State of the Nation address that I delivered before this House was a total lie designed to deceive Malawians and resulting from a chorus of ministers and senior officials who feed me with lies. And my unequivocal answer and plea to this pernicious charge is that I'm not guilty. My ministers are not guilty, and my senior officials are not guilty, as it will soon become clear. I never imagined, Madam Speaker, that a day would come when I would be forced to subject your good office and the dignity of this House to a narration of the process I undertake in constructing the State of the Nation address. But I beg your indulgence to do so this one time in order to allow the truth to triumph over the culture of false accusations that prevails in our politics. I say that there is a culture of false accusations in our politics, Madam Speaker, because, as you know, this is neither an isolated incident nor the first time that a false accusation has been leveled against me and published so far and wide that it even achieves wide acceptance among the most enlightened, thoughtful, educated, and respected Malawians here at home and abroad. For example, it is that same culture from which one opposition party in this House spread the false accusations that I had received bribes in exchange for MTF contracts in 2022, which I did not. It is that same culture from which this same party spread the false accusation that I ordered the arrest of the former Director General of the Anti-Corruption Bureau in 2023 when I did not. It is that same culture from which this same party spread the false accusation that I had assassinated my own vice president in 2024 when I did not. And of course, it is that same culture from which this party even spread the false story that I had died just 5 months ago, which I certainly hope I did not. And so, Madam Speaker, this latest accusation that my State of the Nation address was, quote, all lies, unquote, to quote the Honorable Leader of Opposition, or that it was, quote, full of lies, end of quote, to quote the Honorable Member of Luntha City South, comes out of this culture, and it is no surprise. But, Madam Speaker, if their accusation that my address was all lies is to be believed, it would mean that even when I said in my address that they are bona fide members of Parliament, it was all lies. And I saw them. They came, some of them walked out. If the accusation that I'm addressed was all lies is to be believed, it would mean that their own constituencies or members of their constituencies who acknowledge that they indeed received the cash transfers or NEEF loans or CDF funds or school blocks or ICT labs or bridges or health services or bags of maize that I mentioned in my address are also lying. But I do not believe the people of Mulanje or Blantyre are like that. If the accusation that my address was all lies is to be believed, it would mean that even their fellow opposition MPs also lied when they acknowledged that their constituencies indeed received the developments I mentioned in the SONA, including the DPP Member of Parliament from Mwanza Central, who acknowledged the health units and schools we have delivered, and the stadium and police unit that are 90% done, or the DPP Member of Parliament for Zomba Malosa, who acknowledged the construction of a police unit at Domas using the development funds my government provided, or the DPP Member of Parliament for Chitipa South, who acknowledged the rural hospital in Tarime. As you can see, Madam Speaker, even in the opposition's own rank are honorable members who are honest enough to dispute the allegation that my State of the Nation address was all lies. And so, like every other false accusation that I have faced since I took office, I believe this one will also die the death it deserves from the light of truth. Madam Speaker, my point here is that if the people making this false accusation had any interest in the truth, they would have remained consistent among themselves, but they did not do so. As I recall, the Leader of Opposition even stated in his response to my State of the Nation address last week, Monday, that he and the entire opposition will not participate in the debate on the SONA because it was, quote, a political speech full of lies, end of quote. And yet his fellow opposition MPs went ahead to debate on the SONA. But I have not heard anyone accusing him of lying to this House or of being a leader of opposition whom his MPs do not listen to. Most importantly, Madam Speaker, if the people making this false allegation had any interest in the truth, they would have sought my explanation for the queries they had observed in the SONA. But they did not. Instead, after observing that about 2% of the data I reported on each district had a query, they rushed to this House and the media to allege that the only explanation for those queries was that I and my ministers had colluded to come here and lie. It is not true, Madam Speaker. What is true is that the construction of the State of the Nation address goes through 9 different stages involving no less than 75 technocrats, and the first 5 of these stages include the development of the SONA framework, the compilation of the required SONA data, the review of that data, the verification of that data with the actuals on the ground, and fifthly, the transfer of the verified data from the different ministries into a unified data matrix in my office. So as soon as I learned that some had observed that 2% of that data I reported on each district had a query, I investigated the matter and found that the variants all emanated from a team of 5 technocrats who had inadvertently transferred 2% of the verified data from the ministries into the wrong categories of my unified data matrix. As such, there was no lying involved at any point in this exercise, since the same technocrats who had entered this small fraction of the data that had been queried are also the ones who entered 98% of the data that has not been queried. So once they had entered all the verified data into my unified data matrix, the remaining 5 stages of building this SONA began, namely the formulation of an overarching narrative, followed by the drafting, editing, formatting, and printing of the final speech. So as you can see, Madam Speaker, this is a meticulous process, and while it is not immune to human error, it is immune to deception. This, Madam Speaker, is the true explanation for the queries observed in a fraction of the data I reported here for each district. Now, Madam Speaker, this does not mean that the errors made by my team of data analysts do not matter. In fact, those 5 technocrats have since been summoned and reprimanded, and the head of the team has since been fired from this position as team leader. Rather, what it means is that I cannot and will not condone the attempts by the opposition in this House and some in the media to brand them as liars and to demonize ministers and other officials in my government who are not even part of that team, because that would be a violation of the oath I took to do right by all. For avoidance of doubt, Madam Speaker, it is not that any of my ministers and officials are perfect, but the allegation that they lied to me or that my SONA was full of lies is a categorically false and politically motivated attack designed to build someone's political capital by destroying mine. But as God is my witness, Madam Speaker, not even I myself have ever claimed to be an angel whose words or actions cannot be queried. So those of you who are looking for a president who is a flawless angel from heaven should vote for somebody else this year, because angelic perfection is a standard I'll never be able to reach. For this reason, Madam Speaker, in compliance with the rules of this House, I hereby withdraw the fraction of data in my State of the Nation address that have been queried, and I humbly request your good office to have the vast majority and remainder of that address, which cannot be queried or disputed, remain in the record of the Hansard and be adopted by this House as moved by the honorable member of Mcheo Central. Now, since I have proven beyond reasonable doubt the claim by the leader of opposition that my SONA had no word of truth in it, it is itself an inaccurate statement that was made in this House. I invite him to follow my example by withdrawing those parts of his response from the Hansard. That is what integrity and good governance demand. Understandably, such a withdrawal may be harder for him than it is for me because of the differences in the values espoused by our respective parties. After all, Madam Speaker, I'm fully persuaded that the party I belong to, the mighty Malawi Congress Party, is a party truly committed to transparency and honesty. Ours is not the party that discredited the corpse of a president by taking it to hospital to lie to Malawians that he was alive. Ours is not the party that lied to Malawians that it will open the Nsanja Inland Port on its first day in government in order to get votes from the Lower Shire. Ours is not the party that planted dozens of foundation stones around the country to lie to Malawians that the planting of such stones means that they initiated the project. Ours is not the party that put one thin layer of tarmac on roads to lie to Malawians that this would turn Malawi into Singapore. Ours is not the party that lied to Malawians that there was Forex in the central bank when that Forex was just money laundering scheme covered up by submitting false records to the International Monetary Fund. Ours, Madam Speaker, is certainly not the party that lied to Malawians that it won an election credibly when all know that its path to the State House was paved with Tipex instead of votes. So, Madam Speaker, if after my compliance with the rules of this House in this transparent manner, anyone here still wishes to keep falsely accusing me of delivering a sonar full of lies just to demonize me, then I trust God and the Malawian people to be the judge. I trust that the Malawian people who were kind enough to have me serve as their president, even though they know I am not an angel, are also fair enough to have me continue serving as their president because they know I am not the demon some here paint me to be, for I have never done or said anything as president to lie, kill, steal, or destroy. All that I am, Madam Speaker, is an imperfect human being who is devoted to bringing development to Malawians despite the most difficult economic conditions and the most painful climate conditions that have affected all the nations in our region and that have hit Malawians in harsher ways than any president before me ever has had to deal with. But I can assure you, Madam Speaker, that with or without the fraction of queried data in my sonar, its central message remains true, undeniable, and worthy of adoption by this House. And that message is that there is no district in this country in which you will not find multiple developments, some completed and some in progress, that stand as a testimony of my commitment to serve all Malawians. And so I ask all Malawians who value progress over politics to allow me to take those developments forward. That, Madam Speaker, is the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Now, before I conclude my opening remarks, Madam Speaker, let me make one final point that I consider to be the most important. It is lamentable that so much of the time and resources the opposition has spent in this House has been wasted on viciously attacking me instead of coming together to attack the two real enemies of Malawians, the first of which is hunger, occasioned by drought, which have been addressing since October by distributing maize and providing cash to support the most vulnerable, as well as bringing in additional maize from Tanzania into our market to stabilize food inflation. And the other enemy of Malawians is the cruel raising of commodity prices by greedy and lawless traders. I can therefore only agree with the honorable leader of the United Democratic Front in this House, who responded to my State of the Nation address by saying that, quote, the two most pressing issues facing Malawians today are firstly the economy and secondly food security, end of quote. But where he mostly focused on stating the problem, I intend to focus on providing a diagnosis of the causes and providing solutions. In fact, investigations by our intelligence service has found that the current hyperinflation of prices is being done deliberately by some traders in collusion with one of the opposition parties in this House in order to make Malawians suffer so that this same party can use the pain being inflicted on innocent Malawians as a campaign